Are we on frame? And are we on frame? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mia Verrar, and I'm a part of the Student Government Association. I would like to welcome everyone to our 2024 Fall Town Hall, and I would love to introduce the rest of our Student Government Association.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amari Summers.
My name is Karima Saeed.
My name is Megan Finnessy.
My name is Sandhya Vandari.
My name is Laiba Matloob.
And I have the honor of welcoming to the stage the respected Dr. Sandra L. Curtinitis, President of CCVC.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, the respected Dr. Sandra L. Curtinitis. I will tell you, I actually have another initial, which I never tell anybody about, but since we're talking about the introductions, the actual an extra initial is an I, so it's S-L-I-K. So long ago, people began to call me Slick. So you got that if you want to. Anyway, I am very pleased to welcome all of you to this student-led conversation, and welcome to those of you who are on the screen or will soon be on the screen. And so let me just say a couple of things, and I know each of you will bring forward concerns or applause or in whatever way you have taken the pulse of your student colleagues, so we know what we need to respond to. And one thing I hope you do know is that when students bring concerns forward, we always take them seriously and we always work to resolve them. So I'll be interested in hearing what you have to say today. But what I do want to say to all the students, especially the staff, almost everybody in this room right now was in this room yesterday when we had our the meeting we have every year, the expanded leadership team meeting. And at that meeting, we shared a lot of information about some, I think, information that students should be aware of. You know, this is a tough time for us to be in the world. There are many things that are happening that are totally outside of our control. But what we can control and what we know we need to control and strive for is addressing circumstances that cause students pain or loss of credits or denied funding and so forth. So all of these folks know all about something we call the new student journey. I don't know that students have yet been brought into that conversation in the way of here is what the new student journey is, but I mention it because we are committed, all of us, from the president's level all through the institution. We have leadership at every level on what we call the new student journey, and it really is trying to be able to create a path that a student, any one of you who've already come into the college, so the student comes in the door, and then what we need to do to help every student navigate where they want to go in the least problematic way and exit with a credential. So some of the things you may bring to our attention are already under discussion by many people here who are talking about how we can improve, how we deliver financial aid or advising or make registration easier, moving into a truly technological approach for these things. And so I want students to know that even before we come to a meeting like this, one of the things that everybody in this room who works for CCVC thinks about nonstop is how do we best serve the students? So we're anxious to hear what you want to bring before us. I promise you we will listen. We will be honest if we can address the concern or not address the concern. But one of the things that we're committed to is when students speak, it's wise of us to listen. So let me turn the microphone back to you, whichever one of the six of you is going to take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Continuing on, we have our agenda for the day. If you turn to the first page of your booklet, it goes over everything. We will be continuing with the SGA projects and proposals and finishing off with a student open forum. So if there are any questions, comments, or concerns, we are here to hear them. So I love how Dr. Kurtinitis said it. We would like to start off with a round of applause for the religious holidays policy that was recently passed in the past summer semester. At CCBC, we have a lot of students of different faiths and beliefs, and this religious holiday policy allows them to fully express that without any ramifications.
And on top of that religious holiday policy being passed this past summer, we also implemented various interfaith and religious-based rooms, those which include a list of campus locations and observance on all campuses for students to actively participate their religion in a private, secluded area. So we're just going to go ahead and get up to date with SGA projects. We've heard your concerns, and this is what we've done so far.
We have been meeting with Sodexo over the semester to highlight students' concerns and make suggestions to help improve the cafe. Here in this chart, you can see we collected student input and data from our main 3 campuses, Dundalk, Essex, and Catonsville. With 1 being strongly dissatisfied and 5 being highly satisfied, we had Essex with 3.9 out of 5, Dundalk with 3.5 out of 5, and lastly, Catonsville with 3.2 out of 5. With SGA being the voice for students, we will hopefully see 5s across the boards in the future.
So we just wanted to highlight some changes and completed improvements that we gave to Sodexo this semester, including extending the cafe hours to 3:30 Monday through Thursday on all main campuses, which better accommodates student schedules. We also asked them to improve food safety and meet dietary needs, which they implemented proper utensil separation to minimize cross contact between meat and vegetables. Menu visibility and accessibility have also been enhanced, helping students make more informed decisions, additionally introducing cultural food days to celebrate diversity within our campus community. We've also asked them to add pricing stickers to create consistency and transparency for all students.
Thanks to our wonderful and thoughtful Sodexo team who made these changes happen, we also have changes in progress. By end of fall 2024, Sodexo will include an iPad filled with nutritional facts in all cafes, but in the meantime, Sodexo will offer a ring binder near the grill stations. There will be a menu to separate from the regular cafe menus for vegan, vegetarian, non-dairy, and gluten-free lovers. Changes to becoming an all-halal chicken kitchen and involving halal snacks are in progress as well. And lastly, for fall 2024, Sodexo is working on reasonable additional charges for carry-out containers. For spring 2025, Sodexo is working on separate grill equipment to separate vegan and vegetarian food items apart from meat. And lastly, for spring 2025, all cafes will have self-service kiosks to make ordering simple.
So to just touch on some student recommendations for the Sodexo is to have Sodexo host a job fair. A lot of our students have asked this, and this would boost student interaction and create campus-based job opportunities. We are also working to increase hot food options for night students across all campuses. extend late cafe hours at the Junction and Cyber Cafe on the respective Catonsville and Essex campuses, and provide consistent cross-contamination and cross-contact training for all staff. Additionally, we aim to ensure food preparation consistency across all campuses and maintain high-quality standards, such as addressing issues such as burnt food. These changes underscore our commitment to creating an inclusive and responsible dining experience for all students, aligning with evolving needs and expectations of the CCBC community.
In fall of 2023, the SGA advocated for students' access for feminine hygiene products. This led to a trial period where tampons and pads were placed in certain gender-inclusive restrooms on all 3 campuses. Now, a year later, SGA is advocating for this access to be expanded. Students see their needs being met and appreciate the current access to feminine hygiene products. However, the access is limited. Each campus has varying access to feminine hygiene products, as seen in the chart on the screen.
And we did have an issue with the data uploading on our PowerPoint, but if you look in your booklets, it has a data chart directly underneath the graph, or it should have one. Yes, absolutely. Yes, if you could come.
So we have updated based off an email I got from Mia. Oh, okay. So based off your email, we were able to do an expansion. And so we are working to, any bathroom, any building that has a gender inclusive bathroom, that will be the only location. But all the other buildings will have pads and tampons put into one of the regular bathrooms on the quad level of every building that did not already have it. So that we're in the process of getting that all set up and signage and all of those kind of things. So that is happening. I'm Dr. Barnes.
That is amazing. It also means less slides for me to read. We had a whole thing about a proposal for which buildings to put feminine hygiene products in, but I think we'll continue on to a medical leave proposal. Thank you very much for that update.
Hello, everyone. So we are proposing a medical leave policy for CCBC. A medical leave policy or student medical leave is, sorry, I'm getting my notes together. According to Johns Hopkins University, it is also known as an MLOA, and it is a temporary break from enrollment of classes and courses to better focus on health, physically or mentally. One of the students at CCBC brought up their concerns regarding medical leave and requested to get more informed and actually is trying to develop this policy. Benefits of student medical leave mean students can focus on their health and prioritize recovery versus their studies. It academically increases their success and their chances of succeeding within their academic endeavors. Students within tuition reimbursement insurance may be eligible to benefit on an MLA form. Some of our medical leave concerns is that less ability to academically succeed, overall health decline, be at a disadvantage, and inaccessibility of resources. For our student concerns, many students were worried that they could focus on their health and be able to also manage their studies. When people are more stressed with immunocompromised or chronic illnesses, they actually are more eligible to be having flare-ups, which increases infection and many other issues regarding their health. Some of our CCBC solutions. Producing a medical leave policy at CCBC is crucial because it not only provides accommodations for students facing medical challenges, but also ensures all students that they will be supported by CCBC and welcome back with open arms. Currently, CCBC and many other community colleges do not have a medical leave policy for their students. If you actually look it up, many of the CCBC websites or community colleges in general only have FMLA for their workers. This provides a disadvantage for other schools, but if CCBC is able to enact a student medical leave policy, it will create an advantage for accommodations as well as an edge to our school. By being able for students to focus on their recovery and recuperation, students will be more likely to succeed and come back and be willing to get their AA and transfer to another school. Only a few universities in Maryland offer a student medical leave policy, which means that we could be one of the following to have an advantage with the universities. When you look it up for some of the universities, it's not attainable to have a student medical leave policy, which means that they only have FMLA and students can't find any accommodations for their health issues. And now to the shuttle transportation.
So, so we have here are the transportation resources that are available at CCBC right now. We have Transportation Pays, Mass Transit, Maryland Transportation Authority, MTA, and CCBC shuttles, which provide free services for students, faculty, and staffs that can be used in between campuses. So when we talk about the shuttle from Dundalk to Essex, it starts from 7:30 from Essex and oh, sorry. It starts from 7:30 from Dundalk and ends at 5 p.m. at Essex, providing trip every hour. And while talking about shuttle from Essex to Catonsville, it starts from 8 a.m. from Essex and ends at 3:30 p.m. at Catonsville, providing trip every 2 hours. And the shuttle from Catonsville to Randallstown and Owings Mill, it starts from Catonsville at 7:30 a.m. going through Randallstown to Owings Mill and ends at Catonsville again at 4:45 p.m., providing also two trips trip every 2 hours. So if we can, so if we just look over the two, that is Essex to Catonsville and Catonsville to Randallstown and Owings Mill shuttle, we can notice that it is only one trip every 2 hours. So if we can just only add two shuttle buses in these two trips, it will be really helpful for students. So all of them does not provide shuttle till 5 p.m., but just let us consider every one of them provides till 5 p.m. But there isn't any shuttle options after 5 p.m. for students. So let's talk about how we can improve shuttle hours and why we should improve it. Some of the students, it is the main reason because some of the students still don't know that shuttle are for students, but they only think like they are for the staffs and employees over CCBC. So the first thing we must do is to inform students about it, and posting shuttle times clearly will help a lot because I think I think that there is only one poster at the student services building on each campus about the shuttle hours. So I think I think my point on saying this is students will know more about it if it is posted more on buildings on campus, at least one per building, so that they will know when shuttle is leaving and when shuttle is coming. So we can also improve on routes and add frequent stops so that students don't need to get worried about transportation. So I also want to draw your attention to the shuttle hour extension because some of the students have like early morning classes and late evening classes. I can still suppose that the early morning classes the students having early morning classes can still wait for like certain time and get to use shuttle, but the late evening classes students cannot use the shuttles because the shuttles are only till 5 p.m. So there is no option for the evening classes students. So I think that something should be done for these students.
With improved shuttle hours, students won't face much stress related to commuting and transportation. It can enhance accessibility, and students will be able to attend meetings or events that are taking place on different campuses. Lastly, extended shuttle hours increase the support for students with disabilities and ensure safety for all. Please take a moment to complete our survey regarding the shuttle hours using the QR code on the screen.
All right, so oh, that's it for our project updates. However, if you'd like to contact, okay, what's your question?
Hello.
So you all have been so consistent in asking for shuttle improvements that effective for the spring term, we will be adding one more route to the Catonsville Essex route. So till 4:30, right? 3:30 to, you just told me that's the last one of the day. We'll leave Essex at 4 p.m. and return to Catonsville at 5 p.m. So we will increase that. And there was also a request to increase the frequency of the Owings Mills Randallstown route. So we will be adding another departure at 8:30 and at 10:30. So
And if I might, I would just like to make a suggestion, and thank you to the Vice President for already responding to some of your requests. But I'm wondering if you've taken any surveys of evening students and have some sense of need for shuttle.
So
support.
we actually have a student government executive member who is a late night student, and she's the one that really brought it to our attention because most of us are afternoon, early morning students. And she's the one that has said that there's not enough accessibility for late night students. That goes with the shuttle, the cafe, even things open as if like the registrar or enrollment services. We've also did a SGA survey around our Connect Fest time, and there we were able to open up students to talk about their late night struggles.
We have a
Well-
percentage. I think it's like 19% of the responses mentioned the shuttle hours. 36%? 36% of students
Of
mentioned.
said they need evening support, shuttle support.
They said they needed the shuttle hours expanded.
Expanded, okay, and the vice president's already addressed that, but here's my concern. Because one of you in responding mentioned, I think, mentioned the colleague who said nothing's open at night as well. So one of the things that I think we'd be interested in knowing is through an evening survey. And I might suggest that a good place to do that survey might be through the Friday, the nice newsletter. What do you call it? Yeah, the College Life newsletter goes out every Friday, and you would be able to insert some kind of survey questions, correct? I see her. She's shaking her head. Yeah. Uh-huh. Good, 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 good. Because I have a bias, quite honestly, that says very clearly we think we do a very good job for the students who are here, say between 8 and 5. And all of you, I guess, fall into that category. So you know where the tension points might be. And, you know, the Sodexo representative is here, so I'm sure he heard the good things and the suggestions that you want to make. So that's fine. But I think we don't always think about the evening student population to the degree that we should. So I'm actually sensitive to this issue that is raised. Is it possible for evening students to have a shuttle? And I'm not trying to preempt the vice president there who's already doing the calculations, I'm sure. But if there is a need for something, we need to know about it. And we can't know about it if 5 people say we need this. We really need some kind of sense of a communal response that gives us some insight into what student needs in the evening might be, and if in fact we might be able to meet them. Transportation is often a challenge for students, and if it is sufficiently a challenge, we'd think about that. If offices need to be open till 7 and students would actually use that help, we should know about that. Because just as you tried the pilot with the feminine hygiene products, we could try some other products. So please, you wanted to say something, so please.
I was just going to say thank you so much. That sounds wonderful that you're looking into everything. And we definitely would like all students to have as close to the same experience as possible, regardless of what time they're attending their classes. Yeah. I was just about to open up the open forum for questions. So if there are any other questions. Okay.
Well, I'm happy to wait for questions too, but I do have a couple things I'd like to share with you. Okay. So thank you. I'm Joaquin. I'm your provost. A couple things that I want to circle back to. So the president talked to you about the new student journey, and many of the staff who work in college life have been very intimately involved with the new student journey. So I think I want to ask 2 of the AVPs, and I know for sure that there were many students who were part of focus groups and who worked very closely with the steering committee, helping to build the new student journey during the planning and the designing phase. But a lot of the plans are now getting ready to be implemented or are starting to roll out. So maybe the AVPs and Dell in your role can think about how do we then circle back to maybe working with SGA to familiarize them with what some of the new interventions are, some of the caseload management work, a lot of the things that are landing in the new student journey. So then you could give us some ideas about how we inform the broader student population about all the good things that you helped us build. So that's one thing. The second thing I want to comment about is your medical leave policy. And I'm very intrigued by how you're thinking about this. So as you were presenting, there are already, and you may or may not be familiar, there are already a couple of things in place that I think have a similar intention to be supportive of students. One of them is an incomplete grade policy that is listed in our student handbook, and that in some ways takes some steps in the direction of helping students find an alternative if there's a health reason or another barrier as they're enrolled. And then a similar process, maybe not a policy, but a similar process has to do with how we guide students through the withdrawal process. It's through an established petition. It's routed through the office of the registrar. There are some guidelines that help the college make some determinations about withdrawing, maybe even refunding the tuition under extraordinary circumstances, safeguarding your academic record by not having a grade accompany that, and so on. But I would encourage you to work with your college life leadership and with your student government representative in the college senate, because an approach like a more robust medical leave policy might help us build some of those practices more firmly in college policy, and they can help you do that. It would require the work through the college senate, but I think they can provide some guidance there.
Hello, I am the College Senate representative, or at least one of them. I did bring it up to Professor Yashinsky,
Uh-huh.
and I just have to email him a proposal, and then he said he'll figure out which board to bring it to.
Good. So let me give you a hint. So even when I work with the college senate, I turn around and find some guidance. So I might pick the president's brain and say, President Kurtinitis, I'm thinking about this, that, and the other, but, can you guide me here and there? I often turn to Vice President Hop, and she can sort of say, well, have you thought about this or that? So I commend you for speaking with the college senate chair, but I don't want to throw you into that process on your own. And so Dan and Dell and others in college life could also kind of walk that with you, so that if it gets a little tricky, you're navigating an entire body, and it could be a little intimidating to navigate that with professors and advisors and all other people who work here. So they'll be happy to, walk that through that process with you too.
Yes, and
So when working on the medical leave policy, we were well aware of the withdrawal and the incomplete. One of the main issues with the withdrawal, though, is it negatively impacts the transcripts. So I believe there was a few universities I looked at, when it came to their medical leave policy, when they had an incomplete, it was up until the withdrawal date. So the last date to withdraw from the class, afterwards, if you wanted a medical leave of absence, it would have to be withdrawal. But before that time, it would be an incomplete, just to benefit the student from not having to worry about the negative impacts of it. With that being said, for one of the universities, I believe, the medical leave absence actually required an entire semester off. So then when you came back, it wouldn't impact you. I think Johns Hopkins had a 10-year, up to 10 years, if you took a medical leave, you could come back and complete your degree.
And just to extend on that, if you look in your booklet, we actually created a policy memo where we went over the CCBC handbook, and we went ahead and had background information, evaluation of other universities and colleges, proposed solutions, and overall information. So what I saw with the incomplete policy is that it gave you 30 days after the next semester to complete the course. What we're asking for is for a 90-day extension, giving the student around 6 months to complete the course so that they can focus in on their health and getting back to the community.
Good for you. That's exactly what we want. We want your perspective in there, and don't take it for granted. We will listen. I think having your voice in that process will help us.
One of the main things with the medical leave was one of the students who was very concerned about it started on their own talking with the accessibility team at CCBC. And I talked to one of the CCBC members as well. And she said that they don't have any formal medical leave policy, but it would be beneficial. And they were open to the idea of formulating one, especially because a lot of the students here can impact on it. Of course, if they're a part of the accessibility requirement program, that way they can benefit because all we have is the withdrawal. But many medical problems and procedures can take up to a few weeks or months. And with that happening, if they can't focus on their grades, they automatically would fail without the withdrawal or the incomplete.
we have also received a lot of students' personal stories when it comes to instances where they might have needed medical leave. And so far, I haven't had a negative story per se, but the only thing supporting them is a supportive professor or somebody specific who's helping them, rather than them knowing that they have their back handled by the college itself.
It's basically like a 504 plan, but for college. Because 504 plans in high school offer you a certain amount of time that you can take off with the accommodations and talking with your professor to come up with a plan to help you succeed. And I know the time frame is a little different for college, but if there was the ability to have extra days to work on assignments, it would not only benefit the student for their academic endeavors, but also help them know that they're not like in it alone and that they have someone who's actually working to help them succeed.
And just to extend on what Megan said, we also would like for success navigators to talk directly with those students when they do make those medical leave forms, so that way not only do they have the support and the need to have that extended and complete, but they also have immediate attention from the CCBC community to ask for help and get whatever they need from our success navigators.
One of the issues that arise when looking for the medical leave policy at CCBC was there also wasn't many navigation on our website regarding what to happen with withdrawal, or if you have a circumstance where you need to take a break. So that was one of the things we noticed as well, because if you have a health issue here, where would you have the resources to find what you need?
So, as I heard you mention some of these things, something else came to mind. For a couple of semesters now, as part of the new student journey, students who arrive at CCBC are now being asked to complete a needs assessment, which is a survey that addresses upfront questions for incoming students about what are some of the services or barriers that they're confronted with in balancing school and life and so on. We probably have several hundred of those surveys now, um, or a good amount. And so maybe Nicole, if we could help the SGA get a hold of those data, I think it would be helpful for them to see what their classmates are telling us when they arrive.
Do we have any other questions or concerns?
Thank you. So this is kind of related to the shuttle problem. So this is my third semester here at CCBC, and because I'm trying to finish my associate's degree, I'm taking more advanced courses. And something that I struggle with personally is being forced to take evening classes because of class availability. I find that most courses are typically available from sometime in the morning to around 1 p.m. But when you have a class like, for example, I have to take linear algebra next semester, there were only 2 class options available. So I feel like sometimes I'm either forced to take an evening class on another campus that I don't have transportation to because the shuttle is closed, or I'm forced to take one of my harder classes online, which can be really difficult for me because I personally think taking harder classes in person is much more beneficial to students. So I feel like the reason why students would like for shuttles to be extended to later hours is because sometimes you're forced to take classes that are later and on different campuses just because you can't find more flexible options for more advanced courses near the end of your journey at CCBC. Thank you.
I absolutely love that perspective. Thank you so much. Kind of puts into picture how it might not be a choice for a student to be taking evening or weekend classes, and it might be just a need that needs to be addressed.
One of mine? Oh, it's on here. I don't think it's up there. Oh, is it? Oh, I think it's right here. I can pull it up. From Kieran? So we have I guess, feedback / questions from an evening student, Kieran McKenney. Number 1 is a vast majority of university resources are not available during our schooling hours. The most impactful for me would be the gym and cafe on Dundalk campus. The gym is not open on 2 out of 3 days, I think she meant, or 2 or 3 days. I am on campus and the cafe is never open during my hours 6 to 10. I come directly from work, so I am often unable to do anything after lunch, 12 p.m., until I get home after class, which is after or about 11 p.m. And number 2 is piggybacking off the above. Simple admin stuff should be able to be completed online, as the facilities are not open during evening hours. For example, graduation application had to be turned in person instead of using an online resource. Number 3 is a lack of transparency in billing. My semester fees have been larger than my actual tuition each semester, and I have no idea what any of the fees are for. Relatedly, I believe lab fees should be incorporated into the tuition, as these are classroom components and should not be billed as fees. This makes them not reimbursable via employers. Happy to talk via mic as well, thanks. Thank you, Karen.
I will respond to one thing from that feedback is that one of our SGA members who isn't currently here, Moody, is in contact with one of the wellness center directors and is working on expanding those gym hours. We just don't have a solid update yet.
And I guess to talk, because she brought up a lot of stuff, is that resources for late night students are not as accessible right now. After about 4:30, maybe 5 on certain days, there's nothing for you to do. And as far as billing, I can't answer those questions. Is anybody here? Is anybody here that can answer those questions in regards to billing and fees?
Well, thanks for the opportunity to. So, what we try and do, it depends a lot on the particular course for that the student is taking, things like that. We work hard to keep tuition and fees low. Generally, with tuition, of course, we have our per credit hour charge. Then there are some general fees. There are, a general technology fee, a general service fee that's applicable to all students. And then there are fees that are dependent on the type of course that you're taking. Some, for example, have additional resources or additional software or textbooks that are only applicable to that class. So it seems fair to only charge students that are taking that class for that resource.
I think something that might be helpful, I know when I'm registering for courses, I can kind of hover over the course title and it'll list like prerequisites, a short blurb about what the course is involving. If we could have that updated on my CCBC under the Your Account part, so that when people hover over their fees, it might have a short little paragraph about this fee is for this course for this reason. I think transparency is just a big part of students understanding.
No, I think that's a fair question and a fair suggestion. We've written all those descriptions in the catalog, but people don't read it that way anymore. Now they hover on things to see the explanation. So thanks.
And I think a large question that she did bring up was that her semester fees have been larger than her actual tuition. Should that be the case?
Well, it doesn't make particular sense to me, and but it depends on the type of student and exactly what courses. So, for example, if you're an aviation student, yes, your fees are going to be higher than your tuition rate because flying in an airplane is an expensive thing. Um, if sometimes if you're an out of county student, you have some additional fees. So maybe that's the case, but I mean, if she's still listening, I'm happy to talk specifically about her bill and why that is. And if there's something that we can do to improve it, that would be fine. So I'm Melissa Hop, mhop at ccbcmd.edu.
We'll
Yeah,
type
so
it in there.
I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. I'm
We
a he.
can.
But so I think a lot of my points are kind of interconnected there. So, to your appointment or point on like the fairness thing, right? Like, of course, so I'm a nursing student and there's a lot of nursing specific fees. So, of course, other programs and things aren't going to have to pay nursing fees. But to that point, then I would, I guess, challenge that statement by saying, in all fairness, if facilities aren't accessible to me as an evening student, should I be paying the facility fees, that other students, that's, I think a very similar line of reasoning there. If I don't have access to the cafe and the gym and all these other university facilities, should I also be responsible for paying those facility fees? Well, I think I'd have a strong argument for saying no.
Sure. I mean, and that's the question that people ask, well, I'm not driving a car, so I shouldn't pay for a parking permit. And, I think that becomes a discussion point of how do you share the cost across students. And some we choose to pinpoint more exactly on the students that are using that service, and some we kind of do disparately, right? Not every class costs the same amount to produce. And we wouldn't want you paying a different tuition if you had a more senior faculty member who has been here a longer time and has a higher salary than someone that's just starting out, right? Instead, we say this is what an education costs. So that's a policy decision that we choose to make.
Thank you so much. And I'm not sure if we have anybody here for this, but one of those questions was, because they're an evening student, what online resources do they have so that they don't have to take time off work or come in early in order to use what is usually in person? So their example was the graduation application. I did the same thing. I had to hand it in person. So is there a resource that we could give these online students or these evening students to be able to turn in certain applications online?
This is not quite my area, but my understanding is that every Thursday night, services are open. It might be every Wednesday and Thursday are open till 7 p.m.
So I guess to speak on behalf of a couple of my peers in my cohort who utilize the testing center, I know that is an area where they've had some difficulty as the testing center, and I don't use it, so I don't have the personal experience, but my understanding is the testing center is not able to accommodate their hours, and in the evening cohort, the vast majority, 80 to 90% of us work full-time jobs during the hours in which that's available. So, we use up a lot of our vacation time, if not all of our vacation time, for school-related reasons.
So, hi, this is Joaquin again. So I think I want to just say loud and clear, and I don't mean to speak for the president, but you are all pointing in a direction that says we would like to have expanded access to as many services as possible at the college. And I think I feel comfortable speaking for the administration to say we very much want to get to providing that answer for you and those services for you. Now, we don't have the endowment of Harvard, and educating 50,000 students at the most affordable tuition rates possible is a challenge. Having said that, I want you to hear loud and clear that we are all always looking for ways to get to expanding those services, right? And so to the extent that you have specific examples like the testing center, I know, for example, that your dean of the School of Health Professions and the director of the testing center are having conversations right now about how can we collaborate so that the specific testing setup and the administration of certain tests that the School of Health profession evening students need can actually happen. And they're looking together at how to continue to do that and even more of that. Just last week, about 15 college staff and administrators got together, including the registrar of the college and all of the school deans, to take a very deep dive on the academic calendar and the academic schedules to make sure that, you know, your classmate over here who needs that algebra class will have more options than just having to take a shuttle all the way to Catonsville, so that that evening class is available at more of the locations, in more of the modalities, at more of the campuses, in the mornings, afternoons, evenings, weekends, and so on. So be assured that what you're encouraging us to think about is something we very much want to accomplish with you. And so we'll keep working hard to do as much of that as we can.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think two of the top reasons students attend CCBC is affordable tuition as well as the access to resources. We are getting close to our closing time. Are there any more questions?
Thank you. Nicole Baird, I'm the Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs. And just to add up that there is a pilot for the testing centers this semester, a continued pilot where they are open until 8:30. They're open from 9 a.m. to 8:30 on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and they're open on Saturdays as well from 10 until 2. So that is this semester as a continuation of a pilot from actually last spring. So encourage you to use it. We are looking to see how active student activity is in using the extended hours. And so that way we can make decisions moving forward. So I encourage you to use those expanded hours or reach out to us to let us know what's convenient or not. There is a survey after each testing session about hours so that we can learn more about what students need.
Thank you so much.
Is there a way to access that survey that's not after you take a test? Like, okay.
We're happy to share those questions. That way you don't have to recreate the wheel, because there are already ones that is automatically generated after each testing appointment, but we can certainly look into sharing those questions. So my email is N as in Nancy, B as in boy, AIRD as in dog at ccbcmd.edu. IRD as in dog at ccbcmd.edu.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Do we have any other questions or concerns from in person or online?
Yes.
You want the mic?
Yeah, you do because of
online.
the online.
I'll bring it up.
Here about Sodexo. I'm Kevin Bethany with Sodexo. So there was a talk about an iPad, and instead of the iPad, the SGA actually came up, and I meet with them several times a semester. But so I have an example of what the binder will look like. So this binder will be, this is a low-tech example, but the SGA and all their wisdom said they can take this binder, they're going to create a PDF from the documents in it, and then you're going to link it to a QR code. Is that correct? So the QR code will then be displayed at the different stations in the cafeteria. So all you got to do, scan the QR code with your phone. That will send you to a link of these documents that all contain the nutritional information for all the items we offer in the cafeteria. The other thing, in light of the equipment, so the equipment is somewhat of a challenge, getting new equipment. You know, we have equipment in place, but what I just ordered just last week was a grill divider. The SGA suggested that. They showed it to me. I found it online. I ordered one to pilot. So it's a metal divider that will go on the grill. So everything to the right of the divider will be vegetarian only. To the left of the divider will be meat. So that was something that we're going to pilot and see how it goes at Catonsville. If it works well, we're going to do that everywhere so we can have a separate area of the grill that's just for vegetarian food. So those are the two updates I wanted to give. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to say Kevin has been great this semester. I've loved every meeting with him, and he's very receptive, him and all the managers. So thank you.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a closing comment. And I want to thank you. I mean, the vice presidents are here. We have assistant vice presidents are here. So you can believe us when we say we listen. We come to answer questions, yes, but we come to listen. And the theme that I would note for today and congratulate you on it is a theme that through our student journey, we're paying close attention not only to the students who come in the morning and who are gone by 2, but looking at all the students who are sitting in our classes and what they need. And some demographics that you probably would not have any reason to know, but really support the gentle push you're giving us to pay attention to students who are in the evening. But just a couple of them would give you an idea of how important this conversation is. So we know that 90% of our students attend part-time. Now, remember, last year we had 51,000 students. Half of them, just about half, on the non-credit side, the short-term credentialing, et cetera, half of them on the degree-seeking side. But doesn't matter which side they're on and what they are studying, they will be in that large number of 90% of the students attend part-time. What does that suggest when you add our average age overall is 35? So you are all much younger, but there are plenty of students who have full-time jobs, who have families, who have soccer games, who have responsibilities that mean they come on the weekend or they come in the evening. And I just want to assure you that as we look at the rollout of this student journey, we are thinking a lot about who is in the classroom, what time do they need to be there, what kind of support service do they need, and no matter which side of our college they are studying on, they all deserve the same consideration. Now, we may not be able to afford replicating everything we do in the day into the evening, but we can probably, if really forced to pay attention, and that's what I think you're asking us to do. And we're already doing that because we are working on this student journey. And that says a lot about all the people here and all the employees who aren't here, who are actually seriously trying to assess where the greatest needs lie, and then really turning to the executive team and saying, this is what we need, this is what we need, this is what we need to support students. So thank you for actually, kind of just putting that right out there. We appreciate it. And I can guarantee you it is already a part of our conversations and it will advance our conversations.
Thank you so much. Anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns? We didn't have any online questions. All righty, thank you all for coming. This will be the end of our town hall meeting. We appreciate your time and hope you have a great rest of your day.
And if you would like to contact any of us, all of our contact information is on the back of the booklet.
With pictures added, so you remember who is who.